192 countries, 182 days, one location. "2020 World Expo Dubai provides a spectacular setting for the nations of the world to present themselves as they see themselves, with an emphasis on architecture, technology, and social innovation. The Expo presents human aspiration in vivid ways." Through Administrative Order Number 17, the Philippine Organizing Committee for the Philippines' participation in the Expo was formed. The Department of Trade and Industry was entrusted with the key role of leading the country in the biggest global event.
Bangkota is the Tagalog word, original Tagalog word for coral reef. And Bangkota represents the story of the Filipino people as global citizens. Makita natin, di ba, ang coral reef, nasa ilalim ng dagat yan, kumakalat yan around the world. And that parang ito yung mga Pilipino na kumakalat din around the world. Nakita natin yung presence ng ating mga kababayan anywhere you go around the world. And they are considered global citizens. And for 4,000 years or so, they have sustained their innate coral reef-like nature. We have built and thrived in our communities, in every corner of the world for millennia, and this journey of ours has not ended. It continues today and is unfolded in the Bangkota. And the global Filipinos are a living proof of our embrace for interconnectivity through migration, travel, and technology. This is our story, and as a people that goes way deeper than what we have known about ourselves and our country.
Expo 2020 Dubai in particular is a venue to communicate information on the country's most compelling advantages and its brand positioning as one, a creative nation with a caring and compassionate nature, deeply connected in communities worldwide. Second, as a beautiful country of panoramic destinations with a very proud culture and an ancient history spanning 4,000 years. And third, a modern and progressive nation rich in both natural and human resources.
Through the Administrative Order 17 issued by the President, the Philippine Organizing Committee for Expo 2020 Dubai was created to supervise the country's participation at the Expo, with yours truly as the Chair and Commissioner General. And then we have DTI Assistant Secretary and Alternate Commissioner General Rosvi Gaitos, who oversees the Philippine participation at the Expo 2020 Dubai to deliver a Philippines pavilion as envisioned by the creative team and one that represents the global Filipino. Together with the Bangkota creative community, the Philippine Expo 2020 Dubai is an unprecedented synchrony of Filipino minds and talents to elevate the country's creative industry to a global stage and tell the Filipinos the 4,000-year story.
Bangkota stages art that stages science, a picture of the Filipino as connected across deep time and planetary space. The DTI brought together the most appropriate Filipino visual and performing artists to deliver a fresh collective image of Philippine emergence.
Well, I'm the architect and the theme director of Bangkota. I was part of the bidding group and invited for the project, and of course we all needed to present our visions for the Bangkota, and we're lucky that we were able to get and win the project. But I think it was a very challenging and exciting experience also, though at first I really didn't want to bid on this project because I was busy with the Southeast Asian Games. It was basically showing to the region, to the Southeast Asian region, what's modern Filipino architecture and design is. But I think it was perfect because if we win the bid for the Expo, I think it was also a perfect opportunity for this time to tell it to the world. And the World Expo is a perfect platform for me to showcase the modern Filipino architecture and design. Bangkota is actually the coral reef. No? It is an ancient Tagalog word for coral reef. It's a very challenging task. When we talked about the World Expo, it is important for us, the whole team, to be able to express something authentic. We didn't want to come here to compete with the rest of the world. We're not competing. We're just manifesting. We wanted the Philippines to manifest to the world. No? And I think it needs to be manifested in a very truthful manner. And the only way that it can be truthful is that we have to be inspired by nature again. And that is why when we seek of what is the best thing about the Philippines, we are basically the center of the marine biodiversity of the world. And there is no other center. So basically that's the reason why we see the coral reef interpreted as a metaphor of the Philippines. That is why the architecture of Bangkota is that way. So Bangkota is an emblem, an ownership, an identity of who we are as Filipinos.
Well, the Expo 2020 Dubai is likewise a momentous participation for the Philippines because this is an expo of many firsts. The biggest Philippines pavilion in Expo history. It is situated on a 3,163 square meter area. Before po, we are usually just part of a building wherein many countries are inside that building. Ngayon, we have our own building. This is the first design and build, from the ground, no? First design and build Philippine pavilion of such magnitude and scale. Kasi po, it is in the area in UAE na talagang flat noon. Everybody had to design and build. And we have that area kung saan itinayo yung Philippine Pavilion.
Bangkota is a deep collaboration between the architect and the curator. Marian Pastor Roses is the Philippines' most senior curator and a veteran curator of 4 World Expo Philippine pavilions. 2 of them awarded the Grand Prix.
Ang sabi ni Architect Pineda, instinctively, kailangang hindi tayo masyadong nakatutok. Dito lamang sa World Expo. Hindi tayo masyadong tumutok nga doon sa colonial period. Dahil parang makapagod na ang imahinasyon natin. Na ako naman ay sumang-ayon sa kanya, sabi ko, sige Royal, huwag tayo magsimula sa lugar ng pagod na tayo. Doon tayo magsimula sa lugar na baka mas maganda, mas mayaman ang maging ang outcome ng ating pag-iisip. So, sabi niya, ang coral reef daw, yun ay napakagandang inspirasyon para sa architecture. Dahil organic ang shape, di ba? Paikot-ikot, kumukurbada, hindi yung diretsong ganyan ng modernismo. So, architecturally, sabi niya, maganda yan. At parang Pilipino din.
I'm Ramon Santos. I'm a professor emeritus of the University of the Philippines and a president of the Musicological Society of the Philippines. I just got a letter from the DTI, the Department of Trade and Industry, that they would like to commission me to compose the music for the Bangkota. The music was inspired by, the first one was nature, the second one was humanity or people, and then the third one was the world. I use a lot of Philippine traditional instruments that I am at least good at. So that was the Filipino side of it.
The Philippines ban evokes 4,000 years of journeying to become today's Filipino.
And it's a legacy pavilion in the Expo's District 2020. Moreover, this is the first time the Philippines is unveiling on a global stage our story. Itong sinasabi nating yung mga tao sa Pilipinas date back 4,000 years based on updated science. Hindi po tayo nagsimula 500 years ago na discover tayo ng Spain or Portuguese, kung sino, ni Magellan. No? So, hindi po yan ang simula ng Pilipinas. Ang simula ng Pilipinas, according to scientific evidences, ito po yung mga curated by historians, yung storya natin na 4,000 years ago ay meron ng kultura, meron ng mga tao dito sa Pilipinas. And the story goes way deeper than what we have known about ourselves and our country. Bangkota is a brave and confident undertaking on being a Filipino.
Our participation in the Expo 2020 Dubai is memorable in many, many ways. We have the biggest pavilion in the history of our participation in World Expos. It is the very first time that we have a self-built pavilion of such scope and magnitude. And we have a singularly focused theme that revolves on just one narrative, our 4,000-year journey as a people. Expo 2020 Dubai is a global platform to share with the UAE and the world the untold journey of the Filipino and his remarkable story of migration, aspiration, and assimilation.
Situated in the sustainability district of the Expo, the Bangkota reflects the Philippines' commitment and contribution to the global goal of cultural sustainability. The strong message that Filipinos carry 4,000 years of continuous cultural heritage despite prolonged colonization.
Well, the DTI envisioned the Philippines at the Expo 2020 Dubai as a means to reimagine the country and its people and our contribution to the world. Yung sinasabi nating presence natin around the world, no? On cultural sustainability based on updated science, expressed through creativity. Because yung presentation ng Bangkota, if you go to the Philippine Pavilion, talaga it's all about the Filipino ingenuity, creativity, and it talks about really the Filipinos of the past, the present, and the future through creative artworks. No? Kaya napakaganda siya. And it offers an exceptional and fresh outlook on being a Filipino, and we should be proud of it.
Looking forward, after the Philippine participation in Expo 2020 Dubai, we are hoping that the Bangkota, our theme at the Philippines Pavilion, is a story that needs to be told and retold so that this generation of Filipinos and future generations to come will have a deeper understanding and appreciation of the Filipino emergence and subsequent ascendancy in the community of nations.
In February 2022, the Philippines raised its flag and took the world center stage during the Philippine National Day. Today, Filipinos journey across the globe, leaving the marks of creativity, compassion, and connectivity wherever we are. More than anything, the Bangkota is an expression of Filipinos' aspirations for a thriving economy, a flourishing culture, and healthy people in a post-pandemic era.
The COVID pandemic was one of the worst challenges that any world event can ever experience. It brought about delays that in fact challenged everybody in the World Expo. It was not only the Philippines but the whole world who were participating here in the Expo. Over and above that, we were also challenged by natural elements, meaning the sun, the sand, the wind, the rain, and even an earthquake. And in fact, one of the most challenging really is the change in travel culture and habits that was brought about by the COVID. The pandemic, in fact, stopped travel, and the World Expo was dependent on travelers from around the world to come and converge in the Expo. That was not only our challenge, but the challenge as well of the Expo organizers. There was also the marketing challenge of social media as a platform to communicate. It became a major challenge for us to be able to use social media to its maximum. And this was one event that maximized social media as the ultimate tool to be able to bring in our guests and visitors into the Expo and finally into the Philippines Pavilion. Last but not least, we were challenged in trying to mobilize the Filipino community all over the United Arab Emirates to support us in our Philippines Pavilion. With the trickle of international travelers coming in from all over the world, we had nobody else but the Filipino community in the UAE to depend on for us to be able to generate attendance and support during the Expo 2020 Dubai.
Furthermore, we want to position the country as a creative, compassionate nation, reliable partner for trade and investments, promoting the Philippines as a hub for trade and tourism. The DTI planned business-to-business events, trade and investment forums, and promotions throughout the 6-month duration of the Expo 2020 Dubai. Trade and tourism in the Philippines are anticipated to grow as more nations develop a keen understanding of our economic potential and appreciation of our rich cultural heritage as portrayed in the Philippine Pavilion. These shall open up investment opportunities and increase livelihood among Filipinos. And of course, definitely the goodwill of the Philippines with our participation in UAE. Naging proud ang ating mga kababayan na nasa UAE and very thankful sila sa ating presence.
Expo 2020 Dubai has been a game changer in Philippines-UAE economic relations, opening up unlimited opportunities in trade, tourism, and investments, and we project increased revenues in major industry sectors. We see both our economies recovering from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Total trade between our two countries rose by about 35% with a value of $951 million in 2021, which is a very good sign of stronger economic relations with both countries. In terms of investments, the UAE ranked as the 17th top source of approved investments in 2019, valued at about $13.24 million.
Well, I felt immensely proud as I look at the Philippines Pavilion stand alongside other countries at this global fair, especially that it tells a story dedicated to all Filipinos, both overseas and our fellow compatriots back home. The right mix of talent to form the creative team challenge our thinking, processes, and focus. With a group of Filipino creative minds, the Philippines Expo team miraculously and remotely put together the Philippines Pavilion amidst a global pandemic. Kaya ito'y na-delay pa nga ito the Expo itself was delayed by a year, no? Kaya it's called Dubai 2020, supposed to be on 2020, but it started October 2021. So our Bayanihan spirit has once again proven itself, sharing the same sentiment to create a feeling of oneness with our kababayan in the UAE and strengthen our commitment to succeed. Indeed, just like Bangkota, we Filipinos are connected, modern, and global with a shared sense of truthfulness and authenticity behind these messages.
Today, Filipinos journey across the globe, leaving the marks of creativity, compassion, and connectivity wherever we are. Filipinos are like coral reefs or bangkota in Tagalog. We spread, we thrive, and we have found our place in the world. Ang kwento ng bangkota ay kwento ng Filipino.
Ang kwento ng bangkota ay kwento ng Pilipino.
Ang kwento ng bangkota ay kwento ng mga Pilipino.
Ang kwento ng bangkota ay kwento ng Pilipino.